Hi, I'm Justin and welcome to the Landis Look, where we take an inside look at the world of real estate. And today, I've got the numbers with me. We're going to take an inside look to a great last month in Atlanta real estate. The Atlanta market really ended the year, ended the decade with a bang, and that wasn't to be expected. I was planning to wait a couple weeks until we had the total year stats to share with you guys what 2019 looked like as a whole in Atlanta real estate and talk about what we expected headed into 2020. But when I got these numbers for December, they were so great that I was like, hey, we got to just talk about this now because I think it's having an impact on the 2020 market already. We knew for us, December 2019, that was our best month of the year at JLG, and that's not the norm. I mean, the spring and summer is typically the best time to buy and sell real estate, and that's when we have our best months and we help the most buyers and sellers. But this month, this year, it was the best in December. So when I got these stats and saw this, I wasn't as surprised as I might have been, but I was still pretty surprised. And here's the big number that just kind of like maybe kind of jump in my chair a little bit. The total number of transactions in December was up 13% over December of 2018. That is a big year-over-year change, and it's not something we were trending towards. It's not like we were seeing 8-10% gains month over month in September, October, and November. It was just all of a sudden, out of the blue, December was a way better month. And when you look at these stats, it shows a really healthy market with numbers very in line with what we felt like were crazy markets in like 2016 and 2017. The total amount of inventory on the market, that's calculated in months of supply. And the way months of supply are calculated is they look at the absorption rate, how many houses are selling, relative to how many houses are on the market. And so they say, hey, if no new houses came on the market, at the current absorption rate, how long would it take for all of the houses to be off the market? So for example, if there were 6 houses on the market, 1 house sold in that month, it would take 6 months for all of the houses to be gone off the market. And I picked 6 because 6 is what is called a balanced market, balance between buyers and sellers. So if you have less inventory than that, they say seller's market, more inventory than that, buyer's market. Overall, in Atlanta, in December, based on those absorption rate and the number of actives, 2.7 months of inventory. That's a definite seller's market. And that obviously varies by price point, but all the way up until $1 million. So everything under $1 million is under that 6 months of inventory, which that hasn't been the case for a lot of the year. We're starting to see it above 500,000 in a lot of months when they took those numbers, that it was a buyer's market above that. And now, as we've seen this market pick up and more houses go under contract, fewer houses on the market also, that we are back into a pretty strong seller's market. The median days on market, 35, including all price points. That's not bad at all either. That means, about half the houses are staying on the market 35 days or less, and then half 35 or more. So these are really healthy stats. If you're thinking about selling a house, that's great. As you're thinking about it from a buyer's standpoint, there are still opportunities out there. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you is of the houses on the market, and this is a number that is not as strong for the sellers, over half, 51%, have received price drops. So a good number of the houses that are for sale, and you may, if you've been looking for a while online, you're like, man, I keep saying the same houses over and over. Well, a decent amount of those houses have been on the market for a while and have received price drops. If you're thinking about selling your house this year, this is what you don't want to do. You don't want to fall into the camp where you're on the market for a long time and you have to make a price drop. Because listen to the variation in these numbers. If you're on the market and you had to drop the price to put it under contract, on average, you're on the market for 83 days. And you got 92.6% of your original asking price. So you're on the market 83 days, 92.6% of the original asking price. You had to come way off that original asking price to eventually get the house sold, and it took a while to do it. If you priced the house right, means you got the price right the first time, didn't have to drop it. Listen to these numbers. 12 days on market and 99.5% of asking price. So what we're seeing is basically, hey, if you get it right, you're selling in the first 2 weeks, you're getting almost full price. If you miss high, you might be on the market a while and taking a lower number. So it's not like, hey, this is San Francisco 2006, every house is selling before it hits the market, every house is 30% over asking price. But it is a healthy market, and it's a healthy market in both directions. I really feel like for the first time in a while, this is a really good time to be a buyer and seller because there are opportunities on both sides. Another thing that I wanted to share with you is just some of the increases that we've had from a pricing standpoint. So that's probably one of the most common things that people are concerned about, because if you own a house, you're like, hey, how much could I sell it for? If you're thinking about buying a house, am I going to have to pay more? So from December to December, the median sales price is up 5.6% in Metro Atlanta. I think that's pretty healthy. I mean, if we could get a 5 to 6% increase every year, I think most people would be happy about that, because it's not jumping up so high that if you missed one, if you didn't buy one year, you're completely priced out of the market. And also on the seller side, hey, for the price to go up 5 or 6% in 1 year, that's pretty great as well. So we had a 5.6% increase in prices. And you may be thinking on the buyer side, man, it's costing me a lot more this year to buy a house. But interest rates are down about 3/4 of a point from where they were last year at this time. So yes, the house is more, but if you're borrowing money, the cost of your money is less this year. And so that, on a monthly payment standpoint, is a help in that direction. What does this mean for 2020? Well, I think it means two things. First of all, I think it means that spring is starting earlier this year. As I look at the number of people who have reached out and asked us for help this year, help right now in buying or selling houses, there's a lot of folks who are in the market or about to be in the market. And that oftentimes doesn't happen until March and April, which are traditionally the spring buying and selling seasons. So if you are thinking about buying or selling a house this year, my advice to you would be start talking about it now, start getting your plan in place. And potentially, it may be better to do it now than to wait to what is more traditionally the selling season. Obviously, each person's situation is different, and that's something that we'd be glad to help talk through with you. Secondly, I think we're going to have a good year in Atlanta real estate. Interest rates are low, the economy is good, people have jobs, it's an election year, so there's a definite extra incentive not to mess up things that are going well. And so just my personal opinion, I think this is going to be a good year in Atlanta real estate. And I'm super excited about that for everybody out there. And so if you have something real estate related that you want to put on our radar this year, that you'd like to get some advice on, or you just like to get someone's opinion, you can drop us a line here, send us a message like so many of you do, and we'll follow up with you and have that conversation. But I'm really excited that we had such a great end to last year, great end to the decade actually, because it was a great decade in Atlanta real estate. And I'm hopeful that this next decade will be as well. And this year's off to a good start. So thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.